What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm just doing some shooting and getting ready for Total Archery Challenge South Dakota. I leave in 2 days. It's hot out here in Nebraska. I wanted to get those reps in this morning. It was a little bit windy, the wind kind of calmed down, so we're starting to shoot a couple of groups out here. But I'm just walking down to the end of the range. I'm gonna grab one of these 3D targets and pull it up a little bit closer so that I can be shooting in the shade, because it is about 98 degrees and feels like 102. I don't know why the Weather Channel does that whole like feels like heat index. Just say it's 102. It's 102. Either way, it's too hot. So anyway, I'm gonna grab this coyote target, bring it down there and set it up, maybe like 40 yards or so, and start shooting some reps. While I'm at it, I want to tell you guys all about my Total Archery Challenge setup. I've changed a few things over on my bow and changed a few things up with my arrow setup, and I want to explain why and how it's working out for me. If you guys have not already, be sure and hit that subscribe button. Got lots of content cranking out, especially coming into Total Archery Challenge South Dakota. Utah is after it, and I've got a fishing trip coming up with my buddy Chad Mendez. I really enjoy putting this content out, so I hope you guys are enjoying it too. If you are, again, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate y'all. I could grab the bag target and bring it down here, but like I say, I'm getting ready for Total Archery Challenge, so I want to be shooting 3Ds. I'm gonna also be shooting this big target down here at like 100+ yards, doing some groups on that. All right, so got the target set up, ranged him 35 yards. So we're just gonna be putting some groups down at 35 yards, just focusing up on my form, my execution, all that good stuff. So I wanna tell you guys a little bit about my bow, the changes I've made, why I've made those changes, and explain what I'm gonna be using this bow for exactly. And yeah, we'll just get into it. Should be fun. All right, I'm gonna break this thing down with what accessories I'm running and why. So, first things first, the sight. Again, if you've watched some of my previous videos, you can tell that I have changed my sight. Why did I do that? Well, I'm a gear nerd. I'm a gear junkie. I love messing and tinkering and just trying new things. So I've heard a ton of great things about the black gold sights. They came out with this new black gold dual track. It's a dual pin sight. Get that focused up. It's a dual pin sight, and you can adjust the second pointer. So the second fiber optic, the bottom fiber optic, you can adjust that up and down to align with these pointers on the rail so that you can get exact yardage out of your first pin and your second pin. And that way you don't have to deal with guessing at an odd distance. So a lot of double pin, double pointers, however you want to call them, sight housings do not have the adjustability of the second pin, meaning you set up your first pin and wherever your second pin lies, that's just what it is. So you might have it set up at 20 yards for your first pin and your second pin ends up finding like 33 or 36 yards. Well, gap shooting between that in the heat of the moment can be not confusing, just a little bit cumbersome. So anyway, I have this sight set up at 20 and 40. 2 pins, 2 vertical pins. It's set exactly 20 and exactly 40 when I have the top pin locked at 20, so that I know I can gap shoot if that deer is at 30, 25, 35. If I'm in between that 20 and 40, I can gap shoot much easier and quicker and not have to think about stuff near as much. So I like that feature from the black gold sight. The other thing that I liked is this sight has first, second, and third axis adjustments. A lot of sights only have second and third axis adjustments. Some sights don't have any of those adjustments. If they're like a fixed pin, you know, a little bit lower end model sight, they might not even have second and third axis adjustment, but this one has it all, first, second, and third, and very accurate adjustments, very fine-tune micro adjustments on the elevation and windage, and just extremely tight tolerances. That was one thing I was very impressed with this sight. It has very tight tolerances. You can't get anything to move on this sight unless you want it to move. You unlock your Allen wrenches and start adjusting things with the micro adjustment. But otherwise, this thing is like rock solid. The other nice thing was that these were readily available with the Picatinny mount, the inline system. And I wanted to set this bow up with the inline system just to get it real streamlined, get everything sucked into the bow, and see how I would like it, because I've never ran an inline sight or system until now. And I gotta say, I absolutely love it. This thing locks in rock solid. Loving this sight, loving this setup. So that's something new I've switched over even the last couple of weeks, and I've been absolutely loving this sight. Moving on to the rest, I'm just running a QAD Integrate system. This is the Ultra Rest Integrate MX. It's a micro adjust drop away rest that is designed to mount on the inline system of the Hoyts as well as the Matthews. Any of the bows that have the notched out inline system, this Ultra Rest can go on it. I've been running the drop away rest from QAD for years and years and years. Ever since I went to a drop away rest, I've been running the QAD. I have had zero issues with them, so I have no reason to go away from them. I do like to tinker, but when it comes to my rest, if it's accurate, if it works, if it doesn't break, if I can shoot it with no vein contact, if I can shoot it and it's consistent every time, I'm not going to change away from it. It's been a great rest for me. It continues to be a great rest for me, so I continue to use it. Love it. Moving on to the grip, I switched out from the factory Hoyt grip. I like to run side plates so that I can feel the back of the riser. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the original Hoyt grip that was on this, but my buddy Rob over at Rattler Grips made me these custom side plates, these custom Whitetail fit side plates, and I absolutely love them. So thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. They look great. He makes them out of elk antler, and they're just sick. I absolutely love them. Moving down, we've got a wrist sling on here. Very, very basic wrist sling. I just tie it out of D-loop material. I don't like to have anything big or bulky on my wrist sling, but I do like having a wrist sling. Just tie that on, burn off the ends, and you've got a nice little wrist sling so you don't drop your bow if you're on angled shots or pull through and your bow jumps and you don't catch it. I like to have a little wrist sling on there just for safety measure. As for stabilizers, as you can see, I've got a front and a back bar on this bow. My front bar is a Doinker 15-inch carbon bar, and my back bar is an 8-inch Hoyt carbon bar with Hoyt weights and the Hoyt sidebar mount for the Ventums, the RX-7s, the RX-5s. Awesome setup. Absolutely love. This is probably my favorite back bar setup that I've ever ran. It is very precise adjustability. You can fine tune it. You can lock it in real tight. It's not going to go anywhere or move on you. And I just love it. It's awesome. Also, as you can see down here, I am running the Hoyt Pro Stick stand system. So it actually bolts into where the lower stabilizer mount is on the Hoyts. And it's just got these rods that you can pull on and off, screw them on. And also these rods will fit in a quiver hood. So if you don't want them on there, you can clip them into a quiver hood. So I'll run like a 6-arrow quiver on this bow and probably have 4 arrows in the quiver and then have these 2 stands locked into the hood, or just swap it out, take it off if I don't want it. The mount also allows for a quick disconnect, so you can still run a stabilizer off the lower mounting point if you want with the sticks on. But yeah, for Total Archery Challenge, for shooting here in the backyard, I used it for turkey season. It was great to have a stand that I could set the bow on and not worry about the cams getting all messed up. Basically, this stand just sits on the ground like this, and it touches my front bar and the stand. So on this bow, I'm running the America's Best Bowstrings Platinum Series strings and cables. These things have been an amazing string and cable setup. I absolutely love America's Best Bowstrings. I've been running them for 6, almost 7 years at this point, and I've never had any significant issues. They have always performed for me. They've lasted for me. They're durable. Now, another change that I made on this bow is the center serving on the string. So in order to better fit the nocks on these Easton Sonic arrows. They're a 6mm arrow with an H nock. So in order to better fit the nocks, I reserved the center serving on my string. I went to a little bit smaller diameter center serving. I just used a power grip center serving. I believe I went with an 18 to get a better nock fitment. Nothing wrong with the original center serving that was on the strings and cables, but the nock fitment was a little bit tight with these H nocks. So I reserved it to a smaller center serving, and now I've just got perfect nock fitment. Absolutely love it. Got the D-loop and nock sets tied on. Also, my peep sight. I am running a 3/16 peep sight on this bow. A 3/16 peep for me has just been the perfect size peep for hunting, target, 3D, low light, bright light. It's just been what I like to shoot. So running a 3/16 peep. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but on my QAD rest, I served the cage just underneath on the cage so that the arrow doesn't make any noise if it were to knock on the cage. I also served the center of the launcher as well as the outside of the launcher so that it just dampens things, and I don't have to replace that felt nearly as often. As the serving acts as the felt, it's very quiet, it dampens the sound, and it's gonna last a lot longer than the felt does. So went ahead and served that. On the back of the bow, I've written stance, grip, shoulder, anchor, peep, pull, and finish. That's just a reminder for me. A lot of times when I'm filming and I'm getting ready to shoot, say it's at Total Archery Challenge, I'm filming all my buddies shooting, I hand my camera off, I'm thinking about the settings on the camera, I'm thinking about the angle of the shot, and I'm not putting my full attention into the shot that I'm about to make. I'm thinking about too many other things. So that is just a reminder on the back of my bow to go through all my steps, go through my shot process. Now, also on the back of the bow, I have Philippians 4:13 written. Philippians 4:13 reads, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Now, the amount of time that it takes for me to say that verse is right about the amount of time that I want my shot to go off. So that verse is what I'm saying in my head for my shot timing. Now, shot process and shot timing is something I can go over in another video, but if you know what it is, that's why I have that on my bow. Basically, when I'm at full draw, I'm saying that verse in my head. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, while pulling into my shot. And I want that shot to break somewhere in the timeline of that sentence. Usually it's like at the last quarter of that sentence, my shot's breaking. And that just gives me a consistent shot timing that I'm going to be executing every single time. So anyway, archery is all about consistency, and that is how I deal with my shot timing. So that's pretty much it for the bow. Now I want to talk about my arrow setup. For this bow, I went to the Easton Sonic. So I went to these arrows for this rig because they are a lighter setup. These arrows are 340 spine and they're 7.8 grains per inch. So with that, I've built these arrows out complete at 420 grains. So how I got to 420 grains with this arrow, I cut it to 26 inches, which again, I'm a 27-inch draw length. I ran a 75 grain brass insert up front. I ran a 3 fletch on the back with the Whitetail Fit Vivid vanes and the brand new, should be releasing this week, so watch out for it, but the brand new Whitetail Fit American flag wraps. It also has a standard H-nock on the back. Now the reason I can get away with a 340 spine with 75 grains up front out of an 83-pound bow is I cut it at 26 inches. I've gotten the spine to stiffen because of how short the arrow's been cut. So it's got actually a fairly stiff spine on it because of the length. I've paper tuned this bow. It shoots bullet holes, bare shaft, it shoots great, and it's spitting out of my bow in the upper 290s, which is fast. Fairly fast for my draw length. Like I say, I'm a 27-inch draw length. With my 27-inch draw length, it's hard for me to see anything over 300 feet per second that is going to tune out correctly. Usually if it's shooting over 300 feet per second, I start running into tuning issues. The arrow is so dang light, it's got to be like a 380 grain arrow, And I've got to push that out of an 80+ pound bow to reach those type of speeds with my short draw length. And by doing that, you end up with a really hard to tune setup. So 420 grains was my happy medium. It was the perfect arrow for this long range bow. Now, why 3 fletch on the back as opposed to 4 fletch? And why 75 grain insert? I'm running a 100 grain head with a 75 grain insert, 3 fletch on the back, solely for wind drift. The 3 fletch steers a field point and an expandable broadhead just fine. Steers great. Downrange, a 3 fletch is going to catch less wind drift than a 4 fletch. Also, slightly heavier insert up front, the 75 grain insert, is going to help drive that arrow through the wind just better than a standard aluminum insert where you might be getting 15 to 20 grains out of that insert. The 75 grains plus the 100 grain tip is going to drive this arrow downrange. The 3 fletch isn't going to have as much wind drift as opposed to the 4 fletch. So ultimately creating a more accurate, lightweight, long range arrow. And that's what I'm going for with this setup. This setup with the speed it's shooting and the 420 grain arrow, like I say, the brass inserts up front, I would not think twice about using this as a whitetail rig at all. Like, it's almost the perfect whitetail rig. You're getting the combination of speed, hard hitting. It's a great whitetail rig. So I might be using this bow quite a bit for whitetail. Now, like I say, the RX-7 setup is going to be slightly heavier arrow setup, very similar configuration on the bow with a slightly heavier arrow setup in order to punch through those big animals like an elk. 3D bow, as well as antelope out west. As some of you know who might have hunted antelope before, they're slightly long range animal. You probably need to be shooting 50 to 70 yards very accurately if you want to be consistent and successful on antelope. They're a very hard animal to spot and stalk. They're a very hard animal to get within 100 yards even. So when you get to that 60, 70, you need to be able to make a shot happen. But I just wanted to go over the final product, the final setup on my Hoyt Ventum Pro. So that's it. I'm gonna shoot some arrows at this coyote target. I know I've been talking forever. I hope you guys haven't gotten too bored and maybe you find this stuff interesting. I'm kind of a gear nerd, so maybe some of you guys are too. I hope you found this entertaining and informative. So yeah, anyway, let's shoot some arrows downrange and go see what the group looks like. All right, I'm gonna stop shooting at this spot because I'm about to break some arrows, but let's go down here and look at what we've got. All right, there we go. This thing is a shooter. Absolutely love this bow. I'm excited to get it out to Total Archery Challenge. Like I say, leaving in 2 days. If you're out at South Dakota Total Archery Challenge, I will see you there. I'm excited about this shoot. It's one of my favorite Total Archery Challenges of all of them. It's such a great shoot that they put on out there at Terry Peak. And yeah, so anyway, loving this bow, loving this setup. Excited to put it through its paces this fall. I appreciate you guys watching. As always, if you want to help support the brand, go to whitetailfit.com, get yourself a hat, get yourself a t-shirt. That's one of the best ways to help support me, as well as like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.